abduction. This is coming from the Punch newspaper, rather. Oyo abduction. Presidency slams Makinde over demand for UN probe. The presidency on Monday criticized Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde over his call for a United Nations-led investigation into the abduction of pupils and teachers in the state, describing the demand as unnecessary and politically motivated. Makinde, while formally assuming responsibility for the welfare, rehabilitation and education of the 45 teachers and pupils rescued after spending 56 days in captivity on Monday, called for a UN-backed investigation into the abduction, saying Nigerians deserve a full account of the circumstances surrounding the investigation. Armed bandits had on May 15, 2026 attacked 3 schools in Yewata and Ahuru Esini communities in Orire local government area, Oyo State, abducting 39 pupils and 6 teachers. The special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said the governor's request suggested a lack of confidence in Nigeria's security institutions, insisting that the military and other security agencies had already provided explanations on the rescue operations. Onanuga, in an exclusive interview with The Punch, said the presidency had no objection to an international body examining the incident if Makinde believed there were unresolved issues. The governor has just expressed his opinion that the UN should probe this incident. Our doors are open. Let the UN come if he thinks there is more to it than what our military has explained, he said. He, however, questioned the basis for the governor's demand, arguing that security agencies had no reason to deliberately subject Nigerians, especially children, to prolonged captivity. According to him, the rescue operations came at a cost, with some security personnel, including members of the military and Amotekun, losing their lives while pursuing the abductors. Onanuga said it was unthinkable that anyone would deliberately conspire to expose the victims to the 56-day ordeal, including the killing of the mathematics teacher during the captivity. He said, and I quote, "Look at those kids. Some of them are just about 4 or 6 years old. Will anyone want to deliberately subject them to the trauma they went through for 56 days?" he asked. The presidential spokesman accused Makinde, who is a presidential aspirant, of allowing political considerations to influence his call for an international probe. It is just unfortunate that Makinde maybe because of politics, because he is a presidential candidate now, doesn't have any trust in our own institutions and is now calling on an external body to come and investigate, he said. Well, my say to that is that, well, if Makinde is suspecting any issues at all, yes, the presidency has said that the doors, are open for the United Nations to come in and investigate whatever thing they think that it is wrong with the abduction and also the rescue of the 39 and 6 teachers that were abducted in Oyo State on the 15th of May. Well, the most important thing is the victims have been rescued. They've returned back to the state, but they are yet to be returned to their family because they had to undergo some medical checks and to make sure that they are emotionally fit to return back to the society. They will be reintegrated back to the society, but these things takes time. Okay, and that rescue occurred last week Friday. So we hope that all will be well with the victims. The most important thing now is the well-being of the victims, not playing politics, not arguing something went wrong or something didn't go wrong. The most important thing now is that yes, the victims have been rescued. Okay, now what is the next stage? The next stage is ensuring that anything that should be wrong will be corrected. Okay, the victims have been rescued. Now the most important thing is their well-being. Their well-being should be the importance, should be the utmost priority of, particularly, especially the state government and also the state governor. The well-being of those victims that were rescued should be the priority now of the state governor. Whether calling for UN to probe the incident shouldn't be a matter of urgency at the moment. Okay, it shouldn't be a matter of urgency. Let us concentrate on the well-being, on how these children, after they might be given a clean bill of health, after the medical practitioners might have certified them to go back to their normal living activities. So let us focus on their well-being. What Sheyi Makinde has said, yes, it might be important, but that shouldn't be what should be at the center of discourse at the moment. So yes, the federal government has said that the doors are open for the UN to come in and investigate, which is fantastic. Okay, but like I said, the well-being of those people that were rescued should be the utmost priority of both the Oyo state government and the federal government, and also relevant stakeholders concerned about the matter. Also, these are not the only people that have been captured. These aren't the group of people that have been abducted or kidnapped in the country. There are other states, there are other parts of the countries of the country. There are other armed group that has abducted and kidnapped as other innocent Nigerians. So we look forward, we urge the security agencies, we urge the federal government of Nigeria, and also we urge the state governors where most of these abductions took place, to liaise with the federal government, to liaise with the security agencies, and see how other people, other Nigerians that were abducted in various part of the country will regain their freedom. So number one, kudos to the federal government, kudos to the security agencies, and also kudos to the state government, Oyo State, for making everything available for the successful operation of that Owerri school abduction in Oyo State. All right, that is that for that story. Let's move to the next story. All right, the next story making headlines this morning: ADC's fortunes in limbo. Appeal court affirms order barring INEC from recognizing Mark's leadership. In a split, this is coming from the Vanguard newspaper. In a split decision of 2-1, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja yesterday affirmed the judgment restraining the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) from recognizing or participating in any state congresses organized by committees appointed by the Senator David Mark-led caretaker leadership of African Democratic Congress (ADC). But the party, in its swift reaction, insisted the judgment does not affect candidates produced through the party's direct primaries. Efforts to get INEC's reaction to the judgment at press time, however, proved abortive, as telephone calls and messages sent to the spokesman of the commission were not replied. However, a 3-member panel of the appellate courts, in a lead verdict delivered by Justice Okon Abang, this famous judge, Justice Okon Abang, said it found no reason to set aside the restraining order the Federal High Court in Abuja had issued against the Mark-led ADC on April 29. It further upheld the order of trial Justice Joyce Abdul-Malik, which restrained the Mark-led executive from interfering with the tenure and functions of the party's elected state executives. The appellate court concurred that the responsibility for conducting state congresses for political parties rested with elected state executive committees, not with the national leadership. While Justice Abang and Donatus Okorowo gave the majority verdict, barring the electoral body from acknowledging the outcome of congresses held by the Mark-led leadership of the ADC. The head of the appellate court panel, Justice Abba Mohammed, gave a dissenting judgment. In his minority decision, Justice Mohammed held that the case, that precipitated the restraining order bordered on a non-justiciable internal affair of a political party. He held that the trial court, was wrong to have assumed jurisdiction to entertain the matter. It is clear already that if there is any internal democracy, among political parties or among party members, it is not the business of the court. That matter should not be taken to the court at all. The court has no business in settling matters, in political parties. This is clear. So I don't know why there is so much venom or passion concerning ADC and other opposition party. It is clear already, when political parties have internal crisis, it should not be taken to court. The party should find how to amend, how to resolve what is going on in their party. It's just like a family member. It's just like having crisis or trouble or issues in a family. Instead of the wife and the husband to sit down, to resolve the crisis, they take it to social media or to take it to other external member of the family, which is not good. So it is clear already. It is clear already that if there are internal crises in a political party, that the court has no right to interfere. The court has no right to interfere in any internal crisis of political parties. It is clear already. So I don't know why. This thing is still lingering. This ADC leadership crisis is still lingering. The court do not have the jurisdiction, to interfere in party affairs. The court do not have jurisdiction to interfere in party affairs. That is what the law says. Okay? All right. In case you just joined us, we are broadcasting to you live from the city of Lagos. Lagos is a center of excellence, the city that never sleeps. We are on Instagram, Overt News. We are on TikTok, overt.radio.lagos. We are, on X, Overt Radio Live, and also we are streaming live on YouTube, Overt Radio Live. Okay, so let's move to the next story. Let's move to the next story. So this headline is not here. Okay. How police uncovered fictitious PFIPC documents. A police interim investigation report has revealed how operations uncovered an alleged forgery and impersonation syndicate built around a fictitious government agency known as the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, PFIPC, following a petition from the Office of the Chief of Staff to the President. The report, titled Police Interim Investigation, this is coming from the Punch, I guess. Yeah, activities of fraudsters, impostors forging official appointment letters purportedly from the Office of the Chief of Staff to the President, detailed the investigation into alleged forged appointment letters and official documents used to create the impression that the PFIPC was a legitimate federal government agency. According to the report, the investigation was initiated after the Office of the Chief of Staff to the President petitioned the Inspector General of Police on October 17, 2025 over the activities of individuals allegedly forging official appointment letters purportedly issued from the office. Police said preliminary findings showed that the forged documents contained falsified signatures, reference numbers, official seals, and the Nigerian coat of arms, and were allegedly used to appoint individuals into the non-existent PFIPC. Investigators identified the principal suspect as Prince Adeyemi Matthew, who allegedly presented himself as the Director General of the council and operated from an office within the Federal Secretariat Complex, Phase 3, Abuja. The report stated that the suspect allegedly held meetings with Nigerians and foreign nationals while posing as the head of a government agency, and also wrote to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs requesting a note of verbally to the United States Embassy to facilitate visa applications for individuals described as staff of the council. Yes, so this particular scandal, the PFIPC, has been going on now for like 2 to 3 weeks. So the man in question, did make some revelations last week, that the chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbajabiamila, did make some request, some financial request. Remember, while I was reading that story, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, when the Mr. Demi did say that the money that was approved, for the agency, Femi Gbajabiamila allegedly demanded a cut from that money. So the question that is in the minds of everyone who is concerned about this story is that if the federal government, if the presidency is saying that the agency never existed, then how come money that was appropriated for that agency was passed by the Senate? How come money that was approved for that agency went through the CBN, went through the Ministry of Finance, and this was never detected? Okay, this was never detected. Had it been that Mr. Adeyemi did opened up, fingering, Femi Gbajabiamila, we wouldn't have known that there was a scandal within the presidency. So my advice is that the president last week, that was on Friday or on Thursday, gave an order to the ICPC, gave a directive to the IPC that the anti-graft agency should investigate this matter and report to him within 30 days. So we want to wait. We want to patiently wait for the outcome of that investigation, for the report of that investigation. Once the ICPC has carried out their own investigation, whatever findings that they discovered, it should be the public should be aware of it. So when that report is being, when that investigation is carried out, then can we have a better picture of what actually happened. The federal government said that it was a fictitious agency, that it never existed, but the man in question has made some serious allegations against the chief of staff to the president, Gbajabiamila, and Gbajabiamila should be ready to respond to such allegations. And I even said last week, when this story came up again last week, that duty demands that Femi Gbajabiamila should at least step down pending the outcome of the investigation. As a government worker, as a civil servant, as an appointment, as a political appointee, it is expected of you to step down pending the outcome of that investigation. Nobody is saying you should resign. Okay, nobody is saying that you should be sacked, but what we are saying is that for the sake of integrity, okay, because the post that you occupy is a sacred one, chief of staff to the president, nobody has the right to see the president without your notice. So it is expected that Femi Gbajabiamila should step aside pending the outcome of that investigation, and if the outcome of that investigation vindicates you, or say that you have nothing to do with the scandal, then you can resume you can go back to your duty as a chief of staff. But if after investigation and it was found out that Femi Gbajabiamila was involved in whatever case, okay, then he should do the needful. Okay, that is a probability. If the investigation, point some accusing fingers on Femi Gbajabiamila, then Femi Gbajabiamila should do the needful as a gentleman, to step down totally as chief of staff to the president. Okay, so yes, we await the outcome of that report. We await the outcome of that investigation. By next month, we should be hearing what the ICPC has in store, what they've been able to recover or uncover, as regards to that. All right, so Lagos, ladies and gentlemen, that is how far I can go this morning, reviewing headlines on the front page of the newspaper. Okay, all right. Okay, let me just take this last one. Let me just take this last story. Oruwe abduction. Children were beaten. Teachers chained. This is coming from the principal. The principal abducted alongside teachers, students and pupils of Oruwe local government area of Oyo State, Mrs. Rachel Alamo, yesterday recounted the harrowing 56-day ordeal in captivity, revealing that children were beaten into silence, male teachers chained and blindfolded, while the victims were repeatedly forced to undertake dangerous midnight treks through forest to evade security operatives. Mrs. Alamo spoke after she and the rescue teachers and pupils were officially handed over to Governor Seyi Makinde at the government's office secretariat in Ibadan. Describing life in captivity, she said the victims spent most of the 56 days in the open forest, exposed to harsh weather conditions while struggling to keep the children alive and emotionally stable. Narrating her audio while in captivity, she said, "You can only imagine it. It was not easy. We were in the forest in the open most of the time, under the sun and under the rain, with children, but we kept going because there was no way out. We knew it was only God that could help us, and we believe people were praying for us. That kept us going." The rescued principal disclosed that although she was not physically assaulted, several of the younger pupils endured severe beatings whenever they cried or made noise. Yes, that is typically what goes on when such things happen. So we hope and we pray that such things never repeat itself again in this country. 56 days away from family, 56 days away from civilization, 56 days under harsh weather condition, the sun, the rain, the night, anything exposed to wildlife. This is how horrible those people went through. I will never wish that for any member of my family, neither my friends or colleagues here in the studio. So we hope that the federal government do everything necessary to ensure that no innocent Nigeria will be subjected to such conditions any longer. It is high time the federal government beef up security in the country. It is high time the state governors ensure that there is 24 hours surveillance across communities, states, local government, schools for that matter. This is the time that the federal government needs to take security seriously, particularly in schools across the country. All right, Lagos, that is how far I can go this country. 8:30, I will be back for that exclusive interview live from South Africa. We'll be discussing about xenophobia, how it all started, and if there is any way out. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. I will be back for Wake Up Conversation, 8:30.